A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu looks like this. Paul Duracell, he'll join me in hour number one. Now, he's the CEO and president of CT Sports Agency, and he also represents Hunter Register, former Southern University football player, and also NFL player DJ Chark Jr. He'll join me at about 10:20, and it'll be interesting to talk with him and to see what's going on with Hunter Register as he preparing for a career, hopefully, on the next level in the NFL. He'll join me in hour number one. Then following Mr. Duracell, Coach Van Pettaway. Oh, boy. It's always interesting when the coach, former men's basketball coach at Alabama A&M, joins me here on the Carlos Brown Show. SWAC basketball final conference day today. Seeding who's playing who's making it, who's not, who's hot, who's not. Coach Van Pettaway will give his perspective on the Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball race and competition. In hour number two, Charles Evan of the Alcorn State Radio Network will join me. SWAC basketball report, of course, more conference basketball talk in hour number two. And then finally, a repeat of last week, Marlon Rogers, the Recruit the Boot recruiting service. He'll join me in hour number two to continue his conversation on Southern University football recruits to 2021 and beyond. But here's what's trending on today's Carlos Brown Show. SWAC announces a purchase of corporate office buildings in Birmingham, Alabama. Outstanding. Once again, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has breaking and good news. We'll come back to that. I want to say congratulations to Prairie View's men and JSU women's basketball teams. They are the regular season champs. And if you've been listening to me for over the years, I think very highly of the regular season champs. I know you got the tournament championship coming up and March Madness, but the regular season still means something with Carlos Brown. They have stood the test of time over 3 months, 2 months. So congratulations to Prairie View men's basketball team and Jackson State's women's basketball team, regular season champions. Wow, last weekend, Southern University pitcher Joseph Bataguia pitches a no-hitter against Prairie View A&M Panthers in 7 innings. You don't see that much, at least lately, in Southwest Athletic Conference baseball, but guess what? It is a fact, not an opinion. He pitched a no-hitter. My opinion was I would have thought no, it wouldn't have happened if you'd have talked to me before the game. But the facts are it was a no-hitter. So it made the trending of the Carlos Brown Show. Well, Dr. Prince is just having the ball back there. Yeah, we'll hear from him in a second. And, of course, the final day of conference play for Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball. And then I want to throw this out. You know, the coronavirus is dominating the news. Could it possibly affect the SWAC and sporting events going forward? There's one conference that has already said, hey, they're going to play basketball, but no fans. The NBA has sent out a memo saying, we'll play some games, get ready. There's going to be a reaction to it without fans. And the Southwestern Athletic Conference, I was scrolling this past week, they even mentioned it. So it's something that's, hey, it's serious business out there. I mean, we talk sports, but there's life as well. And this is going to be an interesting time in this country. It has affected a lot of people in the way of life globally. So that's what's trending on this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Dr. Prince, good morning to you, sir, and congratulations to your Prairie View A&M men's basketball team, regular season champs.
Well, good morning, sir, and I was tickled back here, man. How many times you was going to bring up this no-hit shutout, but, good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Once.
Hey, how about the Panthers yesterday? We got a 6-0 shutout against Pine Bluff.
That is correct, and if time permits, we will go to Division1Baseball.com and look at today's games. Had a couple of games postponed because of the weather, but 6-0 over the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. I'll just say congratulations. I could say
don't do it.
Add
don't
something to that, but I better not.
Don't do it. It's too early. It's too early, man. It's too early.
Yeah. I understand. But regular season champs, it does mean something in my book.
Well, it means something in my book. We've had this conversation before. And let me first say congratulations to Jackson State and the coach Byron Smith. Byron Smith has done this thing the right way. And he's a hard worker. He's always been a hard worker, but now he's getting the labor of his works to be shown to the rest of the nation. 26 consecutive home games. It's not an easy feat. Then to win back-to-back regular season championships, that's letting you know that it was not a fluke, that there's something to do with the system and this type of players. And he's doing it on a nutritional as well as a strength and conditioning side of things. So I'm extremely PV proud. I'm SWAC proud, and looking forward to not only tonight's game, but the tournament coming down the road.
Well, we're going to talk a lot of Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball, and throwing this out right now, I guess it is debatable about one of the teams, but I guess everyone would agree, and I think the stats will bear it out. Prairie View A&M defensively, they're tenacious. And the team now, I think, with the second best defensive team in the conference, Southern University. Wow, they meet today. And we were talking before the show, momentum is a big thing. And you want to kind of go into this tournament with some momentum. And the hottest team in the conference on the men's side is Southern University Jaguars. And, this team started 0-3 in conference. I had people I think highly of, and I could understand from an emotional standpoint, they were questioning whether this team was going to do anything this year.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, that's why I say, how do you handle adversity in a season? And do you improve and get better from the beginning of the season to the end? I think they meet those benchmarks. And Coach Woods, something about basketball coaches, I'll step out on the limb, on the court for them, particularly when they come into a situation where it was a tough situation. But, hey, they've got a chance to be the number 2 seed in the conference tournament, Southern University. And what did I say early on? If they can get a top 4 spot, even the 4th spot is where realistically I thought they would be, they've exceeded my expectations.
Absolutely.
And that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, no doubt, Mr. Grinder.
Since I'm a hard liner, as Charles Edmonds said last week.
Yeah, I still trip off his comments about that. I was still surprised at what he thought about me, but I'm thankful to that. When you talk about it, it brings to life the old saying, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And like you said, at 0-3, everybody's hitting the panic button. But that's why fans are fans. You got to let them vent. And that's why shows like ours are out there for the masses. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. But people have a tendency to get a little sensitive, brother, when it's bad. Oh, they talking about us. But when we're praising you, when it's good, it's all right. You got to take the bitter with the sweet.
The bitter with the sweet.
Yes, sir.
A true statement. Quickly, before we get into our first guest, about 10 minutes left here. Thursday and Saturday, of course, today is Saturday, the final day in conference play. And so for some teams that played Monday, they had to turn around and then come back Thursday. Quick Southern University basketball recap on the women's side. Both teams, Southern women and men's team, were able to redeem themselves. They both lost to Texas Southern the first time they played them. Southern University women on a 2-game losing streak. Can you believe that? And that could cost them a seeding, especially that Alcorn State game last Saturday. You know, that was a tough pill to swallow. But they bounced back against Texas Southern University, 59-56. Brittany Rose with 18 points. They led the way. It was a grind. It was tough. It was a grind. And TSU and Southern, there's a good bit of history there between those two teams on both the women and the men's side. But the Lady Jaguars were able to take a 3-point victory. I'll take it. One, if there was a half a point, I'd take it. But they won over TSU 59-56. Now on the men's side, from start to finish, and let me say this: I know TSU point guard was out, and they had some difficulties. But guess what? Does it make a bit of difference to me? Not one bit of difference.
See, I take them how I can get them, right?
Take them out. If they had 3 starters out, guess what? The rest of the team, they're all Americans. And the Jaguars come away, they lead by 22 at the half. From start to finish, they came in and they did what they were supposed to do. And that's win. 89-74 over Texas Southern University. LaMarcus Lee, 17 points. The Mary Burns with 15 points, a very festive crowd. And Southern University redeemed themselves on the men's side. Now on the 6-game winning streak, what would make it even better? A 7-game winning streak. And then after that, wipe the slate clean. 0-0. That's the way, the mindset you have to have. But Southern University basketball recap. Women over Texas Southern 59-56. The men over TSU 89-74, and it was not even close. With that being said, let me take a quick time out. And when I come back, there'll be more of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's D-I-V-A-H, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
Hello, this is Lonzo Hardy Jr., President of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999 at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who have played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or Luncheon, where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Clark Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is SWACalumniassociation@yahoo.com.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more, and we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you know, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I want to bring back in Dr. Michael Prince to explain, give you some information on today's show.
All right.
Dr. Prince, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm understanding that there is some confusion. You might have to hit the refresh, but if you want the updated show, we're understanding it's a third party, not on our end. It might be doing with Facebook. But what you need to do is go to either obnradio.com, click on talk shows, and the Carlos Brown Show is there, or you can go to the Twitter handle at the Mike Prince Show. And when you go to the Mike Prince Show, you can actually click on the pinned site, and it's going to have all the latest shows that are up. Click on that, and it should take you right to the show. So we do apologize for the inconvenience, but I promise you, it didn't have nothing to do with us, Brother Brown. It didn't have nothing to do with us. So it's up and running.
Yeah, I understand. And I tried a new link that I put on the Carlos Brown Show Facebook page. So what I'm going to do now is take another time out so we can get in position to have the first guest, Paul Duracell. He's the CEO, president of CT Sports Agency. He represents Hunter Register, former Southern University football player, and NFL player DJ Chark Jr. So we'll take a quick time out, get ourselves ready. My next guest is coming up. Well, my first guest of today's show is coming on in just a minute. And if you go to the Carlos Brown Show Facebook page, I put a new link on there, and I believe that one's working. Should be able to get through. So with that being said, we'll take a quick time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
Hello, this is Lonzo Hardy Jr., President of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999 at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who have played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or Luncheon, where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Clausen Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is SWACalumniassociation@yahoo.com.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest, I'm going to visit now with Paul Duracell. He's the CEO and president of CT Sports Agency. He represents Hunter Register, former Southern University football player, and also NFL player DJ Chark Jr. Paul, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm great. Just super excited this weekend. My daughter's opening day in soccer, so I've been up cooking breakfast. Looking forward to that today.
I understand that. And speaking of exciting, CEO and president of CT Sports Agency, representing Hunter Register. Before we get into Hunter Register and what he's trying to accomplish, a little bit of your background.
No problem. I grew up in Eunice, Louisiana, actually, a small town, 337 Southwest Louisiana. I grew up in Eunice, and I actually think you and I got a lot in common in that I went to Southern University over on Hardin Boulevard. I went to Southern on the Yard from 2002 to 2006, and from there I went to law school at Southern University as well. So I spent 7 years at Southern University. Some of the best times of my life, man.
Oh, I can understand that. And now on the professional side, you're representing Hunter Register and his chances as a prospect on the next level. From your personal standpoint, how's his chance of making it on the next level?
You know, I think he has a very good chance to make it to the next level. If you look at the wide receiver position, I think he does everything well that you would want in a wide receiver. He catches the ball really well, first and foremost. He can run. I'm not going to tell you the time that I think we're going to run at the pro day, but we'll surprise you with that. But he has really, really good speed, runs great routes. DBs can't really get their hands on him because he's so fast. They have to respect his speed, but also he does a really good job of getting off press coverage. He can run intermediate routes. He can run deep routes. He can do everything you ask him to do. And also, he actually does a lot in the run game as well. You can see he's a willing blocker as well. So he's super polished, and he does everything that you would want to see. And aside from being a great player, he's also a great kid. You can talk to anybody on his team, and they'll tell you that he's a perfect teammate. You know, he's very supportive of all his guys and very coachable.
So, in other words, a complete package on the field and off the field as well. What is Hunter's schedule been like, and then going forward as far as pre-draft schedule?
Okay, so in early, season ended unfortunately in Alcorn, but we can talk about that later. I'm still
we'll move on for that one, Paul. Yeah,
I still ain't healed from that. But the season ended in December, so from there he just took a little time to get his body right. He had a little ankle injury in that game, but it was minor. Just wanted to get his body all the way right, and from there he came to Dallas and participated in what's called the College Gridiron Showcase, which is, you probably heard of the Senior Bowl. You probably heard of the East-West Shrine Game. There's also the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl game. Those are the three bigger games. But the fourth game that's actually been on the rise is the College Gridiron Showcase, and that was here in Dallas. He spent 4 days out here competing against D1, major FBS-type guys from Utah, from Temple, pretty much P5 schools, basically. And he went out there and he was absolutely dominant. You talk to anybody that was there. There were 31 NFL teams there, and I may be a little biased, but it was evident that he belonged there and he should play football on Sundays. So after that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So at the CGS, the College Gridiron Showcase, he met with maybe 12 or 13 teams there where they interviewed him, talked to him about his process, tried to get to know more about him because, people want to know you on a personal level and understand how you process things, see how smart he was by putting him on the board and letting him dissect coverages and talk about what he would do in this situation. So he had that opportunity. And once he got done with the CGS, he came back to Lafayette and trained at this place called Revive Fitness. And he's just been working out every day, just training, keeping his body right, doing position work with Eric Franklin down there in Lake Charles, and just getting prepared for the opportunity, man.
12 to 13 teams, I heard you say, that have shown some interest. That's outstanding, at least in my humble opinion, Paul.
Yeah, I think it was really good for him too, because Hunter had 43 catches, close to maybe 700 yards at Southern, but Southern is a run-first team, and and they did that well. Obviously, wouldn't have made it as far as we did, and we didn't do those things well at Southern, but a lot of people didn't really know as much about Hunter because, he didn't have a 1,500, 1,600 yard big time season, kind of like Chad Williams from Grambling a couple years back, who was able to turn that into a Senior Bowl. So being that a lot of people didn't know as much about him getting into that All-Star Showcase was a big deal for us.
Visiting with Paul Duracell, CEO, president of C2 Sports Agency. He represents Hunter Registrar. Paul, in the news is, of course, the NFL HBCU Combine, and I've seen the list. Let me get your thoughts on that. And if a football player from HBCU, if he didn't get an invite, is that the end of the world for that individual? And what are other options that person can do to get seen for to make it on the next level?
That's a really good question. First of all, the HBCU Combine, just to see that whole thing come to fruition, it's a beautiful thing. I'm a graduate of HBCU, and when you graduated from Southern, you always find yourself not only rooting from guys for Southern, but you're also rooting from guys from Grambling, from Alcorn, for everybody, because you kind of feel like one person's success, it kind of gives a little bit more viability for everyone else, So I'm thrilled with that, and I think it's going to be an excellent opportunity. I've seen that, looking in the list, all of those guys are really good football players that made their all-conference list, and hopefully they had that opportunity to go out there and show that they have really good measurables and that they're prepared accordingly for the HBCU Combine, and hopefully all those guys get an opportunity to get in the camp, maybe through undrafted free agency, or you never know, somebody may get drafted just from a great showing. There have been several guys from HBCUs who have been drafted over the last 5 years, so I'm wishing those guys the best, and I hope that they do exceptionally well. Obviously, I'm rooting a little bit more for the guys from Southern, but I think it's an excellent opportunity. And as far as the second part of your question about guys who didn't get in, I mean, going into it, people didn't really know that this event was going to happen. It just kind of came out of the blue. I know you were a little surprised too. I was on Twitter one day and I saw that it happened. So for guys who necessarily didn't get in, I think you just got to proceed accordingly. Most of these schools have their own pro days, right? So you just have to go out there and do what you have to do at pro days. Some of these guys who hadn't been selected, participate in other All-Star games, whether it's the Tropic Bowl, CGS, other things. There's a many options. And the good thing about what I've learned about the NFL is that, all these teams have scouts. They have regional scouts that are assigned to certain teams, certain schools. So if you can play and if they've heard about you, they've watched film on you. So they know, for the most part, they know of you. So it's very rare that a good player will not get at least an opportunity.
Yeah, you can look at the history and research and see some of the best players in the history of the NFL. They got their collegiate start at HBCUs, whether it's Walter Payton, Jerry Rice. You can go on and on. So, you can't really give up when given the opportunity. Then you take advantage of those opportunities and make the best of those opportunities. I know you'd have to agree on that one.
Oh, absolutely. You're not gonna get as many opportunities coming from a smaller school, right, as some of these other guys from the P5 schools. So when you do get those opportunities, you absolutely have to show out. One of my favorite examples of that, and I alluded to him earlier, was Chad Williams from Grambling, who had a dominant season, and he turned that into a Senior Bowl invite. He went to the Senior Bowl, dominated, looked really good at his pro day, turned that into going in the third round. So if you have those opportunities coming from a small school, you can make it happen. But within the scouting community, what they always say about guys who come from smaller schools, and you know this as well, is that they want to see how you perform against higher level competition. So let's say, Southern may play 12 games, right? The first game that they're going to watch on film is that game against Memphis from last year, right? Because Memphis is a top 25 school with elite type players. And I know that when I was talking to scouts about Hunter, they watched that film a lot on him, the All 22. It's called All 22, where you can look and watch pretty much like from a high level. You can see what everybody's doing at one time. And, one thing that they said was, I think he had 2 catches, 48 yards that game, but they said he was open the entire game. They said that they enjoyed how he got separation and how he was able to get open. So a lot of these scouts, they're smarter than just looking at stats. They're looking at traits. And what you see about Hunter, he's a guy that nobody can guard. And I'm not saying that as his agent. I'm saying that as somebody who's watched a lot of him. He cannot be guarded.
Well, and let's bring up this point then, Paul. His collegiate career started at a FBS school, University of Minnesota, of course, Como High School in Lafayette, Louisiana. So even in practice, he had an opportunity to, go up against that type of competition. So I believe it helped him in that Memphis game.
Oh, absolutely. People see Hunter, he's a quiet, cerebral guy, right? I had somebody meet him a while back, and then she said, he's a gentle soul, and so, but when he puts that helmet on, he's different. He's the traditional wide receiver that he's very, very confident. He doesn't care whether he's lined up against Derek Stingley from LSU, anybody. He feels as if he's the best receiver out there. And that was the case when he had the opportunity to go to the CGS game. He stayed at my house a couple of nights before, and he had that look in his eyes. And day one, and I'll be happy to send you the highlights of that, but day one of that, it was obvious that he belonged. And I think that experience at Minnesota helped him. He was recruited by Nebraska, by a lot of these bigger schools. And, there's a receiver right now, Tyler Johnson from Minnesota, who's projected to go mid-rounds, who, Hunter is every bit as good as, So he's enjoying those opportunities to compete against elite talent.
Visiting with Paul Duracell, CEO, president of C2 Sports Agency, represents Hunter Register. Does Hunter have a preference of if the opportunity presents itself for a specific team, or he's just would be happy with the opportunity to further his career and his dream of playing in the NFL?
Oh, there's no doubt he does not have a preference. There's 32 teams. His favorite team is going to be whichever one calls his name. It's funny. You think you have a favorite team until the draft process. Right? I remember when DJ got drafted back in 2018. Everybody wanted him to go to the Saints. Everybody, you'll swear he's from Duval now. You know, wherever drafts you, that's the team that believes in you. That's who gives you the opportunity. That's where your loyalty and your allegiance goes to. So I don't think he has a preference. He just really, the goal is for him to have an opportunity to get in the camp and prove himself, man. And he's been, if you look at his Twitter, he's been so much support from Southern, from other HBCUs, man. People have been retweeting him. You know, obviously you just alluded to the HBCU Combine, and, you know, people sending messages upset and more angry than he was, more angry than any of us were about him not being invited to that. But, you know, we control what we can control in this process. And like I said, Hunter was the first, as I alluded to earlier about him being a great teammate. Hunter called the other guys from Southern who had that opportunity and gave them advice, congratulating them, because, you know, our moment is going to come April 2nd at the Pro Day at the Saints facility, and that's what we're preparing for. So, you know, you can control what you can control in this process, Carlos.
And on that note, I would like, if you could, to kind of keep us updated, come back real soon and give us an update on Hunter Register, Jaguar Nation, HBCU Nation, everyone. Let him know that he has our support, and we're wishing him the best. And also, an opportunity for you now to give your social media platform and information out. So for those who are interested, they can contact you.
And before I do that, you know, being that you brought me on the show, for one, I got a shirt I'm going to send to you. Hunter made sure we want to send you one of his register shirts. I'm going to send that over to you. You got to put it on and wear it. I don't know what size you wear, but I have my assistant and my folks reach out to get you a shirt.
Is what I'll say.
We'll get the 2X. It's a no judgment zone, man. It look good on you. We're going to get you some of the register merchandise out there, and also want to invite you to the Pro Day if you'd like to come. You know, we welcome that type of support, man. It's a real family thing, from, you know, being 337 and 225, all those area codes coming together. You know, it's one big family thing. So I would love for you guys to come out to the Pro Day and watch the show that he's going to put on.
Now, again, when is that Pro Day and where?
It's April 2nd. Probably should start around 2 o'clock at the Saints facility. So it's right after Tulane's Pro Day. Tulane's Pro Day is earlier that morning. Okay. And there's something called a Louisiana Small School Pro Day. Last year, maybe 28 teams attended. So it's a big stage and a huge opportunity that we've been preparing every day for. So we'd love to see you out there. Right up the street, New Orleans. Yeah, yes, so I'm super excited about it, man. And as far as, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And as far as my social media, I'm on Instagram. Well, my Facebook is my name, obviously, Paul Daruselle, DeRousselle. My Twitter is the same, Paul Daruselle. My Instagram is the same, Paul Daruselle. And I also, the business has a Instagram page as well, C2 Sports Agency. So would love for you guys to follow us and see how we're continuing to develop and grow over the years.
Well, Paul, we appreciate all of the information and the gestures, and we'll get back with you real soon. Again, get an update on Hunter Register and his quest to get to the next level. We're pulling for him, and he's got all the tools and the talent to do just that. So we'll visit with you again and real soon. Appreciate the time, Paul. Really do.
Oh, no doubt. I'm super excited to be on the show. My aunt's a big fan. My aunt Cynthia, she listens to it every day, nearly every Saturday. So she was super excited that I was on. So and I just want to tell you that we really appreciate what you're doing, advancing and promoting and being a champion for HBCUs. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. We'll talk real soon. Paul Daruselle, CEO, president of C2 Sports Agency, representing Hunter Register, and also NFL player DJ Chark Jr. We'll take a quick timeout. When I return, it will be Coach Van Pettaway, former men's basketball coach at Alabama A&M, and him and Dr. Prince kind of nailed it as far as Southern defense, and to be more specific, playing against Prairie View today to end the conference season. some of my colleagues have whispered in my ear via the text message that could it be Prairie View and Southern for the tournament champion on the men's side? You know me. I don't want to get that far ahead. I just take it one day at a time. But it would be very nice if Southern can take care of business at home today, senior day, against Prairie View and them Panthers. We'll have more SWAC basketball talk coming up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. We'll be right back.
Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I'm hearing from you. A lot of you are now connected with the show, and appreciate it. Well, we're all human, brother. Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
Look, I do need to apologize to Carlos Brown and Jag Nation. I hit the wrong button, and as a matter of fact, it threw everything off, but I'm glad that you guys are faithful. That shows how faithful the listeners are to this network, and you let us know when we're not on point. So I do apologize to you, Brother Brown, and to your listening audience, and to our infamous guest, Dr. Van Pettaway. So,
oh, man. All right. Oh, yeah, and let me say this. We're all human, and, you know, I've made mistakes. I made a mistake talking about why they need 3 referees when the referee on the baseline never makes the call, and Coach Pettaway got me straight.
Get him, Coach. Get him, Coach.
No. But good morning to you, Coach Pettaway. How you doing?
Good morning, Carlos. I'm okay, man. I'm hanging in here, looking forward to this last weekend of the SWAC season. Some great basketball still left to be played.
Well, I would agree with that, and I thought about you after a nice victory by the Southern Jaguars, of course, over Texas Southern Thursday night, and I remember asking you about seeing them in Huntsville and defensively, and I understand Texas Southern had a very good player, point guard, if I'm not mistaken, out for the game, but boy, this Southern's basketball team defensively, that's where I see the most improvement. You were spot on.
Right. That's what I was telling you. You know, when defense wins championships, and from what I saw at Alabama A&M, the way they controlled that basketball game, it was all on the defensive end. And of course, defense can translate or turn into quick offense, and that's exactly what happened. So, Coach Wood, that's the way he plays. All he had to do was just get the right players in there to play his system, and then I think we're seeing the fruits of their labor right now.
Prairie View A&M, regular season champs. On the women's side, Jackson State. I say congratulations to the men's and the women's basketball team, respectively, at Prairie View A&M and Jackson State, because to me, that still means a lot to be the regular season champ versus the tournament champion. Coach, can you give your opinion, perspective on the regular season? Sometimes, maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but it seems like it's more emphasis put on the tournament champions than the regular season.
Well, I think the only reason why the emphasis is put on that is because that puts you in the big dance. But for your entire body of work, that regular season champ, that's the one that's proven time and time again that they did what they needed to do over the course of the regular season. And I think you got to give them more credence because when you're playing a round robin schedule and you come out on top, that is a great accomplishment. But I think a lot of people are putting emphasis on that tournament because the winner gets the automatic bid for the big dance. But I'm with you. The regular season means a lot to me and to a lot of the players. And the way they want to do it, they want them both. If you win the regular season, you want to then turn around and prove that it wasn't a fluke, and then you go ahead and win the tournament. But now, while we're talking about that, on the women's side, Jackson State, they're looking pretty good because they're playing consistent. But I'm a little worried about Prairie View. I know they had the letdown after cutting the nets down and having a big ceremony after beating A&M. But then to turn around and lose, this is the wrong time of the year. And then now they got a very big game against Southern tonight, and you don't want to have a 2-game losing streak going into the tournament, even though that first game is on your home court. But the old adage is it's kind of tough to beat a team 3 times.
Well, you're right, and that cliche is important. And I was discussing with Dr. Prince in hour number 1, and I'll share it with everyone and you. This game, I put it this way, I think I would have felt more at ease if Prairie View would have went in and defeated Alcorn Thursday night. And boy, the women's game, wow, what happened? That was a disaster. Yeah, I'll keep it moving, sir. Yeah, that was disastrous. We Dr. Prince said, move on. We don't need to talk about that. But I'll get my shots in there. But now I think you're going to get the 18 from effort from both teams at the FG Clark today. Basically, what you said on the men's side with Prairie View, you don't want to come in on a 2-game losing streak. And for the women's basketball team, they know they're better than that effort. And I understand they lost talented young lady, Godspeed on her surgery and the injury. But I almost wish they would have won both games coming into the FG Clark Activity Center. Am I just nuts about that?
No. But see, this is what Southern has in their favor. Today should be senior night. The seniors want to go out on top, so they should want to try to do everything within their power to make sure that Southern University wins that game because that's their last regular season home game. So that's how they have to look at that, and that should give them some momentum because senior night in basketball is just like homecoming is in football. You never know what to expect. That home team is going to have just a little extra oomph in them for that game. And I've got a prime example of that. We beat Texas Southern pretty soundly at our place, and then we go out there for senior night. A guy that averaged 3 points a game ended up putting up 28 on us, and we lost.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Did you have a fit?
Right, did I? Man. Yeah, I was beside myself that night. But no, it happens. And I tried to tell them, I said, okay, now, fellas, it's senior night. You're going to see a different team. And you did. You saw a kid that had not played that much all season, but on senior night, they put him in the starting lineup. He hit his first 3 or 4 shots in a row, and we could not stop him for the rest of the night. Yep. So you never know when it comes to the emotional games.
Yeah, I understand the point.
So Southern better be ready because they are playing at home and it is senior night. So they got to be ready to play. And then plus, I think they're on a mission. I mean, they've won 6 in a row. I know they want to see number 7 come in a row so that they'll have even more momentum going into the conference tournament.
It will be interesting. Points well taken. Coach, if we look on the women's side, Jackson State, of course, regular season champions. Texas Southern 13-4, lost by 3 Thursday night to Southern University. Southern 12-5, Alabama A&M 11-6, Alcorn State 9-8, Prairie View 9-8, Alabama State 6-11. So we know the number 1 seed is Jackson State. Mm-hmm. Anything else we need to look out? Texas Southern a 2 or 3 seed, Southern a 2 or 3 seed, Alabama A&M. We talked about them last week. A very dangerous ball club.
Right. You know, if all the teams in the SWAC now, they want to be playing their best basketball because this is the end of the season. This is the getting ready for the tournament. Everybody wants that automatic bid. So now your mindset of the players and the coaches, you know, it shifts into another gear because you know, even though you may have struggled during the regular season, now's your time to shine. And you got that opportunity because people they're going to remember your last game. So even if you lost early on in the season, if you win in these next couple of weeks, that's what they're going to remember. They're going to remember the success. So the coaches and the players have to start shifting to a different mindset.
Well, and speaking of that different mindset, I basically had Alcorn State women were dead, and they knocked off Southern University last Saturday.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming.
Well, yeah, and that could prove to be a game that kept them from a certain seed. And then they followed that up, and they, you know, dismantled Prairie View, and now Texas Southern. They got today. This team has seemed to be on a nice little winning streak toward the end.
Yeah,
Alcorn State. Coach, what I'm saying is, when you're dealing with 18 to 21, 22-year-old young men and young women, you just, I see why coaches go bald and have gray hair and deserve everything they can get.
Yep. Yeah, don't forget about the muscles.
Oh, yeah. I understand that too. You guys, you love doing what you have to do because it is not easy. I'll admit that, and not being stubborn.
Right. It's not easy to keep the kids on the even keel or to keep their mind, keep them focused this time of the year. And then the other thing that hurts basketball, especially at HBCUs, depending on when that player season is. The tournament time, that's probate at A&M. And you always had a problem keeping those kids focused. Because the ones who are pledging, you know, a lot of times their mind is on that other family that they joined.
Yeah, I understand.
So you have to be very careful and you got to have, to me, you have to have the right relationship with the players and the advisors of those different sororities and fraternities to say, hey, look, we still got a season. This is the stretch run. You know, let's make sure that they're still following everything that they're supposed to follow when it comes to our rules and regulations for the basketball team. Yeah, and mainly I was speaking about curfew. Right. Curfew. And then the other thing that you look at, going down the stretch, a lot of teams, they back up on the practice schedules because you would try to save your kids' legs. well, I don't want to save my kids' legs, and then you take them away because you got them out there doing 3 or 4 hours step practice.
Mm.
You know, that's rough, and a lot of people don't even they didn't even understand that was really happening to us, but I did. I saw it. I experienced it. So there are so many different things that happen on a college campus that can affect your team. That's why it takes a community to win a championship, not just a coach and a team. The other people on that campus have to buy in order for you to win a championship, because there are so many things that will come about that can hurt your team.
Visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, former men's basketball coach at Alabama, and them talking Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball. On the men's side, we've talked about Prairie View and Southern University. We've talked about momentum and playing well as you reach this point of the season. Conference season is over after the day, and then you get ready for the tournament. Are there clearly a couple of teams, in your opinion, that are destined to get in those finals, or could it be a situation where 4 or 5 teams have an opportunity to get in there and maybe surprise some people?
Well, if I was a betting man, if Southern could hold on to that 3rd spot and get away from Prairie View to the finals, I see Prairie View and Southern. I see Prairie View and Southern playing each other. I think Southern's they've shown enough down the stretch. I think Coach Smith will get his Chargers refocused and ready for the tournament. And then you got that log jam for that 4th spot between Grambling, Alcorn, and Jackson State. It's going to be an interesting tournament, and I look forward to it. And I will be in the place to make sure I see the action up close and in person.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, and I'm going to bring up something else in a second here. Back to the women's side, Jackson State. Do you just pencil them in? They've had such a dominant conference run, or who's the team or teams that could possibly put an end to their season, at least the NCAA wide?
Well, I think Jackson State has to go in as the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Southern, they're on that winning streak. So to me, 1 and 2 on the women's side, I think they're gonna hold the form. But they better watch out for Alabama A&M, because if they get hot, they can create some matchup problems for both of those teams. They have played some great games up to this point, and then of course Jackson State is at A&M tonight or this afternoon. So we'll see how they match up against them on their home court.
Yeah,
and that'll give us an idea of what that tournament is going to look like. But I think the Alabama A&M women, I think nobody picked them to be where they are now. So Margaret, coach, has done an outstanding job to have her ladies in the position to host the first round at home, and I think that's great.
It'll be interesting. Southern University picked to win it all on paper, but games are not played on the paper.
Right.
Played on the court. I'm not going to ask you if they don't win it, would it be a disappointment if you could speak for the Southern University fans, but we'll hold off on that one. We'll see how this tournament goes, but looks like a 3rd seed for Southern University women's basketball team. And you mentioned about going to the tournament, and I just want to get your opinion on this. We know the coronavirus, it's out in force now. You're going to start seeing even worse numbers. What will be the effect, you think, of the SWAC sporting event and sporting events in general? And I know the conference has kind of issued a statement on that, but I'm interested to hear what you think about what's going on.
Well, I hope it doesn't come to that, because, the players they need that fan support. You know, they don't want to play just in an empty arena. They want people in the stands. So from that standpoint, and as a coach, you want that because your team responds better when the fans are there. You know, if you go in there and there's nobody there but the two teams, you don't know how your team is going to react to that. So you want everything to be as normal as possible. But on the safety side, you still got to look at it. If they think it's bad and they have to play like that, then so be it. Everybody has to play under the same conditions.
Right.
But safety comes first, though.
Yeah.
Safety has to be the first priority for the players, the fans, and everybody concerned. And then, every time, now every time I cough or sneeze, I'm worried, because they still don't know that much about this virus. It could be in more places than they think. So, it's a tough situation for us. We just have to play it by ear, and if they decide that that there are no fans, then the team and the players, the team and the coaches are going to have to make that adjustment. But I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, I understand, and prayers.
Yep.
To everybody on this situation, and you hope for the best.
Right.
I just wanted to get your perspective on it because the NBA sent out memos. I think a Division II conference, they've already decided to play their tournament without fans there, and this could just be the beginning of a tsunami type situation. But again, we're going to hope and pray for the best.
Right, but one thing that happened that I didn't understand, Chicago State did not want to go out to Washington and then Utah for games, right?
Right.
But then they agreed to play in the same tournament when you still got those teams in there. So I'm trying to figure out what was the logic behind that. Because if the players, I know it. To me, there was an underlying, there was something that didn't come out right with me. Because if the players are the ones that are carrying the virus, if the game's at their place or at a neutral site, the kids are still there. So I really didn't understand that one. Didn't understand that one.
I mean, especially we talking about an airborne virus, and there's probably a lot more people that are carriers that they know about now. And boy, that's an interesting situation there.
And then the SWAC, we got a lot of good positive press and pub for the manager from Jackson State. He was on College Game Day today.
Snacks.
Yeah, Snacks. Yeah, they had him on College Game Day, showing where they played the manager. But, I got several calls from some of my former managers that say, Coach, we were doing that back in the 80s. You let us play in there. I said, I know it, but it's new to people now, though. Yeah, if my manager stayed with me for 4 years, I got him certified and let him get in the game for senior night, on senior night. I recognize my managers along with the players on senior night. And then I got one, I think Dexter Holt. I think he scored 12 points on his senior night. My
12 points? Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah. He made me say, the coach, see, I should have been playing all year. Yeah, I said, but Dex, we up by 30. That's why you stayed out there, son. Yep.
Oh, you gotta love it. See, one minute you're pulling your hair out as a coach, and the next minute you're loving those young men and ladies. Oh, it's a good thing, Coach, to be a coach. I tell you, you're a coach and a teacher, a preacher, a mom and a dad to some.
Right. We coaches affect so many lives and so many students that we can't take it for granted. God puts us in these positions so that we can we can help the next generation, and we need to continue doing it, and we cannot lose our focus on that. We're here to help and serve the future, the next generations.
Well, I agree with those words. Coach, enjoy the rest of your weekend and get yourself ready for the SWAC tournament coming up, and we appreciate the time as always, and we look forward to talking with you next Saturday.
Okay, I'll be here, guys, and you all be safe. Everybody have a blessed weekend.
You too,
and
Coach. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
the time. Coach Van Pettaway, former men's basketball coach at Alabama A&M. Boy, I had a message from a listener, and now I've seemed to have lost it. Wow, unbelievable. I'll find it. I'll search the whole world wide over. I'll find it out. It was from a loyal listener of the show, and I call him Mr. Basketball Guy. It was something to the effect when I asked would it be a disappointment if Southern University didn't win it all, but I'll find it, but I'll paraphrase it. I believe he was saying that not getting to the tournament would be disappointing, but they're in. So I understand that point. I'll see if I can pull it up and give it its justice with the comments. Once again, thanking everybody about really texting me and saying, hey, we can't get you. We've kind of got that straightened out for the most part, and we appreciate you letting us know. Hey, it's better to be loved than not loved at all. And I truly appreciate it. Going to take a time out. I'm sure Charles Edmond is waiting in the bullpen or the batter's box, if we can say that, to get his opinion in. Alcorn State women and men now they found themselves again. What a wacky conference season it has been. It really has. Ups and downs. But after today, the conference season is over, and then you get ready for the tournament championship quarterfinals on the higher seeds home court. And then it's March Madness. So take a time out. Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network is up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Hello, this is Lonzo Hardy Jr., President of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999 at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who have played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or Luncheon, where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is SWAC-alumni-association@yahoo.com.
Welcome back to hour number 2, this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Guest number 3, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network, one of the busiest men in the profession. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, but the big question is, you sound like you're refreshed now. I was kind of concerned. You were busy. You were a busy bee.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks with softball, baseball, and basketball, it was pretty exhausting. I'm not gonna lie to you, but a little bit of breath of fresh air as we wind down the regular season. But now I'm on a brain freeze, trying to figure out these scenarios and standings and the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and what if this happens and that happens. And going into tonight, Carlos, there are 10 teams that could move up or drop on the women's and men's side. 5 spots up for grabs on the men's side, 5 spots up for grabs on the women's side. 2 through 6, it's undetermined right now.
Well, because I'm a smart veteran, I said I was going to leave that to you. Dr. Gibson, God rest his soul, was a mathematician. He could probably do a formula and get it close. But hey, when you don't know or you don't have time, there's no problem in getting help or seeking help. And that's why I said I know who the favorites are. And 1 and 2, possibly 3, but after that middle of the pack, and listen to you on your broadcast, Alabama A&M did you guys a favor, right?
They helped us a little bit. But the key was Jackson State. Jackson State has the keys to the 4th seed, and that's probably the biggest unknown, I think, in terms of, the top 4 on the women's seed are set, but the top 3 on the men's seed is set, and just now the number 4 seed. It could be Alcorn, it could be Jackson State, it could be Grambling, but the bottom line is if Jackson wins today, they will be the 4th seed. They've got the tiebreaker on Alcorn due to points. They've got they got the tiebreaker on Alcorn by virtue of 2 wins over Alcorn. They have the tiebreaker on Grambling due to points, and in a 3-team tiebreak, which is a possibility, whether it's 10-8 or 11-7, all 3 could win. Jackson State's got that as well. They got the 4 seed because of their record against Alcorn and Grambling, which is 3-1. So Jackson controls that 4 seed, and we could drop as low as a 6. And if the worst case scenario happens, we could be looking at TSU again in Houston on Tuesday.
And that kind of reminds me of Southern last year going to TSU and defeating them in that last, the last 2 games of the conference season. And then the first round of the tournament, they defeated Texas Southern, and then you remember they had to go back to Houston.
Right.
And it wasn't too kind going back. So let's start quickly on the women's side. Jackson State, of course, number 1 seed. TSU came to Baton Rouge Thursday, and it was a back and forth game. It was a tough one. They lost to Southern, but Southern still behind TSU. Now, is there a scenario where Southern can get the 2nd seed, or are they just locked in the 3rd seed because of different scenarios?
I believe due to points, I think Texas Southern probably has the edge there because of points. Southern beat TSU by a couple the other night, and I think TSU beat Southern by more than that. So no matter what, in a tie, if Southern wins, if Texas Southern loses, they'll both be 13-5. I believe Texas Southern will get the 2 seed and Southern will get the 3 seed.
So they will kind of be on the opposite bracket of JSU, but then they would have TSU. Okay. I got you. On the men's side, of course, Prairie View, regular season champ. And once again, congratulations to Prairie View and them, men's regular season champ. And JSU on the women regular season champ. Of the two, who is the regular season champion that's probably more heavily favored? Meaning, is it Jackson State women or Prairie View's men basketball team, Charles? Just interested what you're going to say.
Yeah, I would say Jackson State's women, because they've been pretty dominant. They've had some tests. They've been pushed around a couple of times, but clearly they've been the best team wire to wire. And it's just ironic that, the team in the middle of the pack and the Lady Panthers is the only team that's beaten Jackson State, and then the Panthers come in here without their best player, by the way, one of their best players, and the Lady Braves just handed to them. But I think Jackson State, they've got a good inside-outside game. They've got one of the best centers in the conference. They got shooters. They're deep. They're athletic. But in the tournament, it's a whole nother animal. In the tournament, it's all about defense. And if teams can slow Jackson State down enough, I think, Jackson State could be pushed a little bit. I think they'll win that first round home game, and then once they get to Birmingham, it's wide open. But Prairie View, Prairie View's been pretty consistent. They had an 8-game winning streak going into the game the other night, and you could tell from the tip that Prairie View was a team that played like that they had nothing to play for. They had already won the regular season, the number 1 seed. The Braves fighting like heck for a home game, and you could just tell the difference. We kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit, got into a little low, but defensively, we locked them down a little bit and got to the free throw line where we had a big advantage there. But I think Prairie View can be had on a night where they just don't come out. If Williams doesn't shoot well, if they don't get that inside game going. I mean, you look at their first round opponent in Alabama A&M. I mean, A&M is one of the more athletic teams in the league, and if Prairie View's not on at home at the Baby Dome, you could have a huge upset there. But I kind of expect Prairie View to bounce back. I think they'll probably play well today. So I think Coach Smith really got in them. The sense of urgency. I mean, you can't play like that 3 days from now and expect to get to where you want to be. So it was a wake-up call of sorts for the Panthers. But, to answer your question, I think Jackson State, I give Jackson State the edge because they're so deep. They're going to play probably 14 players, 13. They're deep. And if they're locked in on both sides, they're a tough team to beat.
Back to the Prairie View, and it's interesting because you always hear the cliche, and I've used it, many colleagues have used it, and many people, that a team reflects the coach. And wouldn't you say Prairie View's coach is a fiery guy? He's very tough mentally, and I'm assuming physically as well. And you said they came in, and you could tell right away. And because I know they had just wrapped up the regular season, but that's kind of surprising to me. The times I've seen Prairie View tenacious defensively, and I can understand Alcorn's back is to the wall and they're desperate, but boy, raced off to a big lead, and I was listening to a good bit of the broadcast, and of course Prairie View makes a run. They're going to make a run, and they come back, but then getting behind early kind of was doom and gloom for them. But I guess my point is kind of surprised that they came out lackluster in the beginning. I mean,
yeah, I kind of understand it, but then when you're on this Thursday Saturday schedule as compared to Monday Saturday,
hold on, Charles, you're fading out there. Let's see if we can get back in range. Okay.
Yeah, when you're playing this, and I'll chalk this up to a little bit to the schedule. Prairie View won the regular season. They played Saturday, Monday, and then had to make the trip here. I know it's probably an excuse, but you've got young kids that feel like, hey, we've arrived, we got it done. We can exhale a little bit. And I was at this shoot around a little bit the other day. I caught the tail end of it. And you can hear Coach Smith's voice and their assistant coach's voices before you even walk in the gym. I mean, they're really honed in, and I think the coaches understand they haven't done the thing yet. Yeah, they won a second straight regular season title, but who cares? It's about what you do in Birmingham or in the postseason. But I get it. I mean, it's a long grind, and it's easy to take your foot off the gas a little bit. And I think the Braves and you have to give the Braves a lot of credit for starting fast, because we've had games in which we had struggled early. So you got to give the Braves a lot of credit for starting fast and putting Prairie behind the 8 ball. Panthers kind of got their sea legs under them a little bit in the first half, and middle part of that second half. But when you're in that deep of a hole, it's hard to come back and win, especially with a team that can lock you down a little bit. And the Braves defense can be pretty good at times. And I think it was just good enough the other night. So it was a surprise of sense, but I think they'll bounce back today, and I think it'll be a little bit more intense game, although you have to be smart about this, because you don't want to get anybody hurt. The tournament starts in 3 days. Okay, whether you're at home or on the road, tournament starts in 3 days. What does Prairie have to play for? Nothing. Southern with a win locks up the 2 seed, or Texas Southern loss. I'm sure for Sean Woods, he wants to win and he wants to keep the intensity, the edge going. But at the same time, you don't want to get anybody hurt this time of year. We got a couple of guys out. Lady Braves have a player out. Texas Southern's got a couple of their big players out, one due to suspension, another due to injury. So you don't want to get anybody else hurt. You want to see the competition. But at the same time, that, biggest spotlight and what you get judged on is what you're going to see starting on Tuesday. So I get it. I understand it. And I guarantee you Coach Smith's team will be prepared, a lot more prepared than starting off fast, unlike what they did here the other night.
And they're aware of, and if I'm taking Prairie View's point of view, yeah, we've got the regular season. We're the champions. Yeah, we got to win the tournament to get the automatic bid. But then I look and I see a team that I defeated the first time I met, and defensively I got after them. Now this team is a totally different team. And then I'm looking, hey, they're right there to be the number 2 seed. So I know I got to be careful, but then the competitiveness in my mindset, I want to come out and show the potential number 2 team that we're still number 1. And so I said in our number 1, I think they're going to bring the A game because what happened in Lorman, both on the women and the men's side for Prairie View. So I'm going to see if I'm wrong on that one, but I look for a very competitive game today at the FG Clark Activity Center.
On the women's side, I think Southern will probably handle Prairie View. One of their players, I saw it and that's supposed to help me with this one, where she was caught off the court the other night.
Yeah, that was Peters. She had like an Achilles injury. She's done for the season. Right.
So, and you can kind of tell that too. That when you have a player like that goes out, and that was just 3 days before they played us. That does mess with your mind a little bit. Again, you could say these are excuses. Everybody gets banged up, but that type of thing can take the air out of your sails. And Prairie was on a little bit of a role, playing better, but clearly they didn't have it the other night. So I expect Southern probably will win the game tonight. And I think for Coach Pugh, I think she doesn't. I think she's content with whether it's 5 or 6. I don't think it really matters to her. She's in the tournament, and whether so I don't think it matters. And I think that's you talk to these coaches, if you sit in their living room and just have them be brutally honest about what your feelings are about tonight's game. Are you really interested if you're 2 or 3, a 3 or 4? If you're already going to play at home, are you really honestly and truly interested? I mean, you can't show the disinterest to your team. You do want to run your sets and you do want to, show your stuff. But at the same time, you don't want to show too much because it's all about what happens on Tuesday. And that's why I think for the men, I think it's critical on the men's side who gets that 4 seed because home court advantage is so huge. We play well at home. Grambling has played well at home, and Jackson has played well at home. So that 4th seed is critical. And then if things don't bounce right for Alcorn, we could finish a 6 and have to go right back to Houston, which is something I don't want to do. I mean, I got to pack a bag. I want
well,
to do that.
Charles, that's one of your favorite cities.
Well, yeah,
that bad,
it's not. I mean, I love Houston, but, you know, when you have to go to Houston on a short turnaround, you know, and you're trying to get your logistics together because the team might be pulling out of here tomorrow going to Houston. That's kind of what Coach Robinson and I were talking about the other night, because he really wasn't aware of all the different scenarios. But that's the worst-case scenario for Alcorn. If they lose today and Jackson and Grambling both win, we will be a 6th seed. And if Southern wins today, then Southern locks up the 2, Texas Southern gets the 3, and we'll be playing at TSU on Tuesday. That's the worst-case scenario for the Braves. The best would be to win and have Jackson lose and Grambling lose, and then we'll play Jackson State at home. That's the best-case scenario for Alcorn. That would be terrific if that happens. You'll probably have a packed house here, or close to it. So, so you got the best and the worst, and you have the middle, either hosting Grambling or playing at Grambling, which is always a tough place to play. So there's some excitement in the middle of the bracket. I think if you get a home game and you don't have to travel right now, I think that's something that you definitely want to play for, and, you know, avoid traveling if you can.
Visiting with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles got a couple of messages from a listener. He says Southern men have the tiebreaker advantage for the 2nd seed over Texas Southern, based on the fact that Southern won at home by 15 and lost on the road to Texas Southern by only 9. And we exchanged text messages Thursday, and a listener, Jack, says, I vote, you appreciate this one, Charles, I would vote for Southern men's coach, SWAC and Louisiana College Coach of the Year. And I heard you on your broadcast saying that Sean Woods would get your vote if you had one.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. The first part of that question is correct about the tiebreaker between Southern and TSU. Southern has the tiebreaker due to points, and so they would have the tiebreaker if they finish tied. So that is correct. And yes, and I talked with Montez Robinson about it the other night. We were both driving home about the Coach of the Year and how the men vote for that. He told me that the men's vote is like the women's vote now, in which it's not necessarily your regular season champ. It's about which coach had the improvement from last year to this year. And so, you know, our former coach, Tanya Edwards, won Coach of the Year, and she didn't win the regular season. It was just an improvement. I think she was a 3 seed. I think she was like 9th or 8th the year before. And so if you look at Southern, I mean, think about it. 13 months ago, we were talking about Alcorn and Southern not even making a tournament at one point in time, right? Southern got in kind of in part because Alcorn stumbled down the stretch. They won a game or two to help propel them to 7. We got in because Valley stumbled in a game in which they were favored to win at home against Grambling. That got us in as an 8. We stumbled at Prairie View, obviously, in the first round of the tournament. But look at what Sean Woods has done from last year to this year. Now, Montez Robinson would contend that, look, if we finish at a 4, and we were picked to finish 8th or 9th, hey, I mean, he's not saying that about himself, but that's a point to be made as well. That you have a team that was picked to finish 9th, and then they finish 4th. But then you have Sean Woods and Southern, they finished 7th last year, and they could finish in 2nd. So, you know, there's a case to be made there. But look, Southern's won, 7 in a row? What's the winning streak right now?
That would be nice. 7. That means they beat Prairie View today, but they're 6. They've won 6
in a row.
Let's not get Dr. Prince excited back there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, you know, look, Prairie View was picked to win it the regular season. They only lost 2 players from last year's team. I think everyone had Texas Southern picked up there in the top 3 or 4. But who would have thought Southern would have propelled themselves to where they are? And so I'm looking at it from a realistic view. I mean, you know, if we win today and finish a 4 and those stuff happens, that's out of our control. But if we finish a 4, I think, you know, Montez Robinson probably has a case as well. that's if you're looking at it realistically. Now, I mean, we're just going to the basic run-of-the-mill regular season champ. That coach wins Coach of the Year. Obviously, Coach Smith will get it again. But I think that at some point we need to step back and just evaluate everybody's body of work and say which team propelled themselves higher than what was projected. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Come on in, Dr. Prince.
Look, I understand all that, but you got to give some credence to being defending regular season champs now. That's no fluke when you got the obvious mark on your back and you're still out to maintain, and you lose not just 2 regular players, but 2 of your perimeter shooters. Prairie View is not the 3-pointing team that they were last year because of the players they lost. So you got to give some credence to that too now. Not just, they just won regular season, but they not only did they win it, they defended it. And I do understand what Woods has done. I understand what Montez has done. But don't underestimate what Brother Smith has done, too, now.
No, I'm not. I mean, my point is that if you were picked to finish first or second anyway, and you got there, then it's like, well, you're picked to get there anyway. You're supposed to be there.
But
so
Go ahead.
But then on the other side, you have a team that was picked to finish 7th or 8th, and they finished 2nd. That's a 5 or 6 spot jump, in which no one expected that. I mean, no one expected Southern to finish 2nd. No one.
No, but just like we say every year, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, whatever, these are projections. You got to go out there and play. Someone's going to have to be picked first. Someone's going to have to be picked last. Either way, they got to go out there and do it on the field or the court. And whether they was picked first, second, or third, they still had to weather the storm of being the hunted instead of being the hunter. And they fought off the oncomers, and that's due to good coaching, good preparation, and consistency. And I'm just saying, I'm not underestimating what Woods and any other coach has done, but you just can't just cast it out because they're back-to-back champions. That's all I'm saying. It's valid on both sides. So I think let the coaches vote, let the people vote who do the voting, and we ought to be thankful that we have competitive basketball from top to bottom.
Well, I agree with that part of it. And the thing about it is that the coaches do vote for the Coach of the Year. And, I didn't ask Coach Robinson who he would vote for. I mean, I don't think he would tell me anyway, but I think that's going to be an interesting vote coming up to see, because you have some coaches that did rise their stock a little bit, and then ones that did what they were supposed to do. I mean, I've heard that argument as well. I know you play the games out, and the games are going to fall away that they're going to play out, but if Prairie View was picked to win the SWAC, and they did what they were supposed to do. But did Southern do what they were supposed to do? Did they exceed expectations? Did they not? And they exceeded expectations by quite a bit. And I think that'll get the attention of some people. I mean, bottom line is I do think Coach Smith will probably win Coach of the Year. But if I had a vote, and, I've been trying to get on that bandwagon where people that cover this league should also have a vote, to have a true ballot. That's something I'm going to try to work through and work on. But the coaches have to say in terms of who votes for these things. And if they don't want us on the ballot, we're not going to get a vote. But I'm going to keep pushing every year for that. But I think that if you want to have a true ballot, at least, even though Coach Smith might win and probably will win Coach of the Year, if there's not some votes for Sean Woods for Coach of the Year, he might get 1 or 2 votes from one of his peers or 1 or 2 of his peers. If that does not happen, and we may or may not know that, we don't know the totals, but who did what and who voted for what. But if Sean Woods gets 0 votes for Coach of the Year out of the 10 coaches, I just think I think there's something wrong with that.
Oh, no doubt. And he's going to get everyone are going to get some votes. But I just want to make one comment, and I'm going to get out of here. Every coach that's hired has the expectation of being a winner. So we don't hire coaches, okay, I'm going to hire you hoping that you lose 20 in a row. I'm going to hire you hoping that you win 20 in a row because we brought you here to win. So the expectations of winning, whether you're picked first or last, are there. Because like you said, that's just bulletin board material, and you got to go out there and execute whether you pick 1 or 10. But we'll keep going back and forth. I appreciate you, big guy. You're my St. Louis homie.
Well, players, sometimes they have most improved player. Yeah. Have it on all the levels, but you don't have most improved coach, right? And I think it's going to be, if Smith Purview wins it, he'll get it. And it's amazing how we're talking about basketball, but boy, second place.
Glass.
Don't excite me.
Quarterback named Glass, but I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say that. That was the quarterback of the year, but player of the year. But I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah. Well, tradition says it was a team that won it. That's usually how they're gonna go with it, and that's why I think Coach Smith will get it. And second place coaches usually don't get it. Yeah, because some of you guys, you love second place coaches, and you almost attack somebody if you even say anything about second place coaches.
There you go on your Odoms.
See, I don't want to start.
Odoms ain't got nothing to do with this, man. We ain't talking about Odoms right now.
I didn't say Coach Odom. No, I did not. You brought up Coach Odom. I said second place.
You hear him, Charles?
Shame on you. Shame on you, Dr. Prince. Shame on you. Shame on you.
That's a good one, Carlos. I give that one to you. You snuck that one in on
right. Do I need to call Coach Pettaway? Do I need to get Coach Pettaway back on the line?
But it'd be interesting to see we'll save that for next week. What he thinks about it. I don't think they're going to change the criteria.
Right. No.
They're not going to do it. And
no.
There's a lot of theories out there.
All I'm saying is that, hey, Coach Smith will probably get it and well-deserved. But I would like to see if Montez Robinson or Sean Woods got a vote or two. Someone recognizes the improvement of a team where they were projected to be slotted.
Would that be an insult to say most improved coach? That may be taking us insult, wouldn't it?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, every year is different. You lose players. I mean, we got 4 seniors. 4 of our 5 players in the starting lineup are going to be playing their final home game potentially today. Rosters change. Pravy's just in a situation where they only lost 2 players from last year's team, and there's going to come a point in which they're going to lose 3 or 4 of their big players, and he'll have to retool a little bit. Every coach goes through that. So that's just the way it goes in the world of collegiate athletics, where you have good teams that stay together. Some leave. You lose 3, you lose 2, you lose 4 starters, whatever the case. So it does happen. But I think that if you're projected to finish 8th or 9th or 10th and you finish 4th or 3rd, I think you should get some consideration. That's all I'm saying. And if it's a unanimous 10-0 vote that Coach Smith is the coach of the year, then in my opinion, that's a problem, because that means that no one else recognizes the improvement of at least 2 coaches who improved their stock from where they were slotted to be picked back in August. I mean, that's my opinion.
If you had to take one of the 2, it had to be Coach Woods. I understand what you're saying. Southern has done just a little bit better on the men's side than Alcorn, albeit both were picked. One was picked 9th.
Yeah.
One was picked, I believe, 6th. A listener says, second place excites me if you lost 20 games the year before. And then I had another message from, who was it? I think it was, now paraphrase, Derek basically said he wouldn't want to see Southern in the first round. He would rather go to Houston to play. So he's an Alcorn fan. He doesn't want any part of Southern. They're playing pretty good right now on the men's side. What we're talking about.
Yeah, Southern really is.
Everybody starts 0-0 when tournament time comes.
Correct. That is correct. But Sean Woods has been through this grind before in terms of. Remember now, Sean Woods took a Valley team that nobody expected to do what they did when Sean Woods was there. They went 17-1, I mean, so Sean Woods is a good coach. I mean, there's no question about it. Glad to see him back in the league. I think he's good for the league. I think he brings that fire and brimstone back to the league that we had once upon a time. You know, he was out there almost at midcourt a couple of times last Saturday. I mean, so he's in it, and his team reflects that way, and he's hard on them, just like Coach Smith is hard on his players, but they get the most out of them, and so you have to give those coaches credit for that. If you lost 20 games the year before and then you finished second, you know, I was just saying, just recognize what you did and recognize the fact that you were not picked to finish where you are right now, and you moved up 5 or maybe 6 slots. I think that deserves to at least get a hand clap from somebody's coach in this league. I don't know who, and we don't know who's going to vote for who. You know, we just don't know who's the coach of the year. And I would hope that, you know, Woods or Montez, if we finish in 4th, you know, get some recognition, get a vote or 2. If I see that or if I hear about it, then I'll be happy with that. I really will. But
wow.
You know,
I found the quote. I don't want to see Southern first round at all. Further travel to Houston, but Southern just too hot. Give me a home game against JSU or a road game at Texas Southern. Wow. Thanks a lot.
Or how about a road game at Grambling? Because that's a possibility as well.
Yeah. But, boy, I tell you what, regular season champ, we congratulate both teams, Jackson State women, Prairie View A&M men's basketball team. That tournament starts, you win one on your home court, and then it's on to Birmingham. Quickly, Charles, because we got to move on. Travel plans the same, one way or the other? You think you're going to make it to Birmingham one way or the other? Calling the game?
Look, we have to improve on some things in order for us to get there. We're going to have to be more consistent. On the men's side, we have to shoot the ball better. We got to make free throws, and we have to rebound. On the women's side, we're going to generate turnovers, but we got to convert that into offensive opportunities, something we did against Prairie View the other night. We got to do that again tonight. We got to do it again in the tournament against either Southern or A&M. We're going to have to do that. If we do those things on both sides, then, yeah, I'll be talking to you from Birmingham next week. But if not, then the postseason will be short-lived.
Well, as always, we appreciate the time. And, oh, yeah, I knew that. So I'm going to just say Odoms. I didn't say Odoms. That was Dr. Prince. And I didn't say that.
You didn't have to say
they're trying to get me in trouble here.
You spoke in code, man. You know you spoke in code.
And by the way, as I pivot from that one quickly, should be some information coming Southern from my good sources. Odoms has filled out his staff, and we're just going to wait for the official announcement coming up. But, hey, now spring practice, and it's on to the football season. Atlanta or bust, 2. That's the way that goes. So have a great weekend. No rebuttal on this one. And we'll talk with you next Saturday. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty. We're going to take a quick time out. We've been trying to make up time all show, but that's all right. We'll get Marlon Rogers in, recruit the boot, coming up next, and we'll give him the rest of the time for the show. And we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Be right back. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network at Spreaker.com.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this final segment of the Coles Brown Show. As always, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Final guest of today's show, Marlon Rogers of Recruit the Boot. Marlon, good morning to you.
My man Carlos, good morning. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fine. Hey, in life, a little rain must fall, but sunshine always follows.
Always.
So I'm doing
always.
well.
Peace and positivity. That's the only way to live.
There you go. There you go. Speaking of positivity, we're going to continue our conversation on Southern University recruiting class. And I even had an Alcorn fan and a listener of the show. He loves the show. He asked about any Alcorn possible recruits for next year coming out of the Louisiana area. So I told him he just waited his turn.
I was gonna say that's none of his business right now. Not right now. It's a little too soon, sir.
It's still smart, you know.
You Louisiana's a little rough today, huh?
He can speak with me in December.
December 2025?
Yeah. and actually, he's a very nice guy. I met him at the Celebration Bowl and appreciate him listening. And, Alcorn, Georgia State. I've seen Central Arkansas. I've seen some of everybody in South Louisiana and Louisiana, Marlon.
Everyone's coming through. There's a good reason for it, especially, like I said, I hate to do the North and South thing, but South Louisiana talent level it's as high as we've seen in a long time. It reminds me, and I wasn't in Louisiana at the time, but just doing research over it in the 80s. It was all about North Louisiana, big linemen, big athletes, big running backs, Haynesville, Neville, West Monroe, Evangel, Northwood, Wasman. You always had guys from there. Well, now, the tide has turned now to South Louisiana, whether it's the private schools, the charters, the publics between New Orleans, Lafayette, and Baton Rouge, the talent on the national level. Whether you're going from Power 5 to D1, HBCU, D2, D3, everyone's coming through Louisiana. Everyone's looking for coaches to get on their staff for recruiting purposes to get in Louisiana. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. I hope it doesn't. I love the opportunities that it gives. And I think Southern's doing a good job in-state as well as in some of these Southern states as well.
Yeah, when you look at this past recruiting class, I just pulled up Antonio Smith from Vanguard High. Got him listed 6'3", 305, Ocala, Florida. I think this is am I right? I think this is the guy that had originally committed to University of Miami.
Was a Miami commit, absolutely,
yeah.
And decommitted later in the process.
Now, there's a relationship that Coach Odoms and his staff at the time with that particular area. Lewis from that area, DB from that area. So it's all about establishing relationships. And I often get some of the Alcornites to tell me, well, everyone is just figuring out Alcorn for years. We've been in the state of Florida, and now everybody else is getting in there. Well, I understand why now.
Yeah, better late than never. Florida's ripe with talent. They're ripe with kids who want opportunities. They're ripe with kids who don't care where the opportunity happens at, which I think may be the most important thing. It could be LSU, it could be Florida, it could be Southern, it could be Jackson State. These kids just want an opportunity. Some come from, I've been to Miami multiple times and been around Miami. Some come from impoverished backgrounds, some don't. Some are just super competitive, some don't. Looking at out-of-state recruit signees, should I say, that we got this year, one thing that I love about all of them, including Mr. Smith, they all play with attitude. They finish the play. They don't stop until the whistle. They want to dog their opponent. They want to make sure that they're aware that, hey, this is going to be happening all game, and I'm not going anywhere. So, just keep getting up, and I'm going to keep putting you back down on the ground. Antonio Smith does that quite a bit, especially in the run game. You liked him. He's got work to do as a pass blocker. He played tackle in high school, but he'll kick in the guard. I think mostly because of his wingspan, which is about 78 inches, not prototype for a tackle, but he's really strong, really powerful in the run game. That's my favorite part. Like I said, he finishes off blocks with a purpose. So just follow him, and you're going to get 5 to 10 yards per play. Make a man miss, probably 20 to 30. They'll work with him on his pass technique, I'm sure, and he'll have help since he'll be kicked inside. So he does need some improvement with footwork there. He was still what we would consider an all-district and all-state player, playing, I believe it was 8 games in the regular season with a broken hand. So that tells you a little bit about the kid's toughness alone.
That was interesting when you talk to offensive line coaches, guys like you. And when you talk about offensive linemen, usually the biggest adjustment is always in pass protection versus run blocking.
Definitely, because most of your high school offenses, even though I'd say over 50% of the high schools, especially in the South and likely in other places too, have gone to the spread offense, they're still run-based because there's just less mistakes you can make in a run game. High school coach's job is to win. It is to teach, but to win, that's another conversation for another day. And it's so much easier to just, hey, go straight, knock the person in front of you out the way, get them out of the way, running back, don't turn the ball over, don't fumble. It's a lot less likely that they're going to fumble. You're going to get a holding call than a pass where you can get a tip pass, you can get a fumble, you can get an interception, things that are completely out of your control when the ball's in the air. So I put that mostly on high school offenses being rather simplistic. You don't get a lot of passing offenses that we're privy to down in Louisiana like Evangel was in the 90s and early 2000s. So that's pretty much the case. And they don't know how to drop, in the pass protection. They don't know how to sit in the chair. They don't know how to kick slide as well as other kids do. So it comes with the process. And like I said, going in the guard, he'll be fine with his base and his size. He'll be just fine. All SWAC player. I'm guaranteeing it. Could be 2-time.
Visit with Marlon Rogers, a recruiting service. Anybody else out of state that kind of stood out to you?
Well, you've got his teammate Andre Jones, who plays on the defensive side of the ball. He was honorable mention, all district, we would say. He's not the biggest guy. He's 205 pounds maybe, but they played a 4-3, so he played defensive end. And he was going up against guys obviously much bigger than him in size most times. And he has outstanding speed around the edge. He's very raw, but again, plays with an attitude, finishes off, will pick up and slam his opponents down to the ground. He's a little bit of a turnover magnet. You look at his highlight page, his first 4 plays are turnovers, whether it's a fumble recovery, a forced fumble, or forcing an interception by forcing a throw. So that's promising. He stands about 6'3", 205. You hope that he puts on at least 20 pounds, 25 pounds. Could be a stand-up edge guy. Could be a guy who learns to play with his hand in the dirt and with more power. But he plays with outstanding leverage to say he's only 205 pounds. Taquez Hampton, who's actually from Jacksonville, Florida, but went to Coffeyville Junior College. He was a 3-star recruit coming out at wide receiver. He was a Utah transfer. Utah was extremely excited to have him and thought that he was going to contribute on the 2-deep in his true freshman year. But injuries came his way, and the business of college football, you have to keep recruiting. You can't make the club in the tub. So he kind of became the odd man out, decided to transfer. He's a really big-bodied receiver. He doesn't look fast, but he's much faster than he looks because he glides at 6'3", 6'4", 210 pounds. So he's a big kid. He's a strong hands catcher that's very physical in the run blocking game. I consider your swing passes, your smoke routes, screens. I consider that run blocking because you're still blocking at the line of scrimmage. He's very, very physical going against defenders with that. Staying in Miami, you've got Shamar Zaragoza at Miami Central. Always a known power in Miami. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's 6 feet, maybe 155, 160 pounds, but he's extremely quick and twitchy off the line of scrimmage. He has an idea of where he wants to go, and he makes sure that he gets there. I think he's quicker than fast, but our slot receivers over the years have been smaller guys, smaller, compact guys like Jamal Washington is now. Excellent player, by the way, out of Alexandria. He could go to the slot, Zaragoza, at 6 feet and 100, say gets to 170, 180 pounds. Could give us a little different element out of the slot if he brings the same quickness and twitchiness around the edge and when he gets out routes. So I've got some promise in him. He played on the outside most of his high school career from what I could see. And he played with some big-time recruits, so he wasn't the focal point of the offense. But he found a way to get open and found a way to make plays himself. We've also got Derek Williams, again, he's out of the Miami area as well. He's very physical, field general is what I like to call him and what I saw when I watched his film. He's getting guys lined up. He hits like a brick. He lined up at all linebacker positions, but he looks like a middle linebacker, mainly because I do kind of worry about his speed on the edge if he's lined up with running backs coming out of the backfield or tight ends or slot receivers. So I like him at middle linebacker. He loves hitting. He takes on blocks very well for a linebacker and then sheds them very quickly. So these are things you can see the focus that they put on run stopping defenders. When you talk about that front seven, we obviously know the reason why. I will not speak their name at this time. But you have a good idea of what they had when Odoms came out and said, we got the guys we wanted in the Advocate. You see exactly what it means. One name I came across that I understood was on campus. We know Davin Cotton's on campus. I won't get into him, the 4-star out of Evansville who transferred from LSU. But another LSU transfer, Drake Davis, I understand, is possibly on campus and maybe participating in football. He's on campus. We don't know what he can bring, though. It's been so long since we've seen him on the football field, and we just hope that he can stay out of trouble and contribute not only for the football team but for himself and get a degree and proceed forward with his life. There was also, I do not want to pronounce his first name wrong, but Najee Collins. He's from Riverside and transferred to Destrehan, so coming back to Louisiana a little bit. But he went to Asa Junior College in Miami. I look for him. He's the complete opposite of who we talked about last week with John Curtis, Marquise Martin. Where Martin wins particularly with speed around the edge, Najee Collins has got a little bit more power to work with, but he's a true edge rusher himself. But with a little more power to work with, he doesn't mind getting down in the trash, getting down and dirty like the defensive lineman does, taking on blocks if it frees up one of his teammates. So he's a good player to have. While he may not put up the gaudiest numbers throughout his career at Southern, he'll be just as important of anyone that may put up 10 sacks or get 5 forced fumbles. So I like that pickup. He's a kid that genuinely loves football. You could tell that from his time at Destrehan that I recall, which was some really powerhouse teams with some exceptional talent, and he still found a way to stand out. A couple other linebackers picked up, Raheem Shorter, who was from Pearl River, and Jaden Landrum, who's the district player of the year out of Arlington Bowie in the Dallas, Texas area. Both look like middle linebackers to me. I'm sure they'll all be interchangeable. Both are heavy run stoppers. So like I said, Odoms appeared to have a type that he wanted at linebacker this cycle. I think he did well with what he got. The junior college players that are coming in are college ready. Some of these kids, such as Hampton, he looks like a grown man. He's a legitimate 6'3", 215, and you can see every bit of it on film. He could step in and play immediately. I know they're expecting the Central Florida or South Florida transfer, Jeremiah Stafford, to step in immediately and play. So there's some exciting times. I expect to see a much more physical team next year on both sides. Based on the way that it was recruited, especially with the junior college guys who are expected to come in and compete immediately. And we'll see how it goes. But it appears that that's the route that they're going.
On that note, we appreciate you, Marlon, for the information. We're literally out of time. We'll get you back next week. What I'll do, I'll get you early on in the show.
Sounds good.
Get you in, and so we won't have to rush toward the end.
So won't be up against the wall. Hey, no problem. I appreciate it, Carlos, always. Love you. And I'll talk to you next week. Talk to you throughout.
All right, appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too.
I want to thank all of our guests, Paul Duracell, Coach Van Pettaway, Charles Edmond, Marlon Rogers, and, of course, Dr. Michael Prince. Appreciate everyone for your patience. Appreciate you for listening. Make sure you tune in. Join me next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Until that time, as always, peace and God bless.